And this is Katy Hogan taking up the mic from my co-host, Lisa Smith. You've heard from three guests, three segments already, and this is our fourth, and we are just jamming at the stage at the Heartland Cafe this morning. I'm so happy to welcome a friend and family. Full disclosure, I'm going to be interviewing my brother-in-law, but more importantly than that role is Bob Heineman's role in the Call to Action USA organization. Call to Action is a Catholic, mostly Catholic movement working for equality and justice in the church and society. And upcoming, we've got an event that Bob and our neighbor, Michael Herman, is here to talk about, and that is Chicago's First Lay Synod. Welcome, Michael. Welcome, Bob.
Great to be here.
Thank you, Katy.
So, first of all, what's a synod for all those folks out there who never heard of it and don't know what that means?
A synod basically is an opportunity to air concerns. It's a kind of a looking forward. It's a looking at what's happening and how we could kind of prioritize maybe some of the steps that we want to take forward. Obviously, it's an opportunity for people to voice concerns and opinions and kind of experiences.
One of the things that we've learned over the last 7 years is that people have rights within the church that they're not aware of. And so this first synods are a participative process. And we see this as the first of a series in the Chicago area that would, in this first one, tell us about our rights, revision who we are as Catholics. The Vatican II in the early 60s turned us from observers of the process to participants in the process. So the first presentation is about revisioning our role, and the second is what are our rights under canon law.
Yeah, that was one of the more fascinating things when I researched this, was to find out we actually had some of those rights. I was raised Catholic. I won't use all of those trite phrases, but I now call myself Catholic with a small c, which in fact means universal or something akin to that, which allows for a little more stuff, spiritually and otherwise.
Absolutely.
But to find out that the Catholic Church actually, I loved the quote from John Paul VI, which is to say that laity is received the first call to action.
Absolutely.
The church is based on laity.
I think the parent-child relationship plays out in the church a lot. You know, parents convince their kids when they're younger that they can't make any decisions without them. And then as they get older, you have that rebellious stage where you still think you shouldn't make decisions without them, even though you do. And then hopefully you will reach adulthood where you kind of make your own decisions, and sometimes you struggle with your parents over the decisions you made. In the church, there's this attitude that we're just children, and people have kind of accepted that and haven't really realized that, no, you can make full adult decisions as Catholics in the church, and even though, the hierarchy or the parent is not necessarily going to agree, that you're able to live that out independently. And sometimes we've given up that ability, and we don't even realize within the law of the church that's actually a right we have.
Well, I think that's a very useful thing to point out to people. I also would like to point out, Michael, that was like the kindest depiction of the Catholic Church I've heard in a long time.
Yes,
Parents,
I've learned to be very political.
Parental, yeah, you have, baby. That's good. All right, so what are some of these struggles that you just typified as the growing young adult of the laity needing to push the parents into acceptance of? How about that for adopting your language?
Absolutely. I think kind of what's going on now is as the church has seen kind of the laity take a stronger role, obviously since Vatican II, there's been this now backlash in the church where there's been an attempt to close that down. And what is that forcing a lot of people just kind of stepping away and saying, I'm not going to kind of battle the fight. And what we'd like to say is you don't really need to step away. You don't necessarily even need to engage that ridiculous discussion, but you're able to be a full active participant in the church kind of independently on your own. There isn't that need to have that relationship.
So what I want to hear are the examples.
Yeah.
Tell me some.
Well, and you know,
anybody for women priests?
Absolutely. Women's role in the church has been a highly undervalued and under-participative. Women can't be priests, according to the Catholic Church. Well, people are learning that what we have to do is just go ahead and do it. That taking the responsibility for ourselves will do it. There are now 35 women who have been ordained as Roman Catholic women priests in the United States. Were they ordained legitimately? The word is...
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right.
Their bishops who ordained them are in the line of succession. Does the Vatican recognize them? No way.
But at the same time, a lot of Catholics think that's not possible. And I'll tell you, I've been at Mass with women priests. It is possible. And it's people just saying, we're going to continue to move the church forward, whether the institutional church is with us or not. And I think that's a great joy. And that's one of the things we're excited about, just letting people know that. Because I think a lot of people think, no, this isn't possible. And people are kind of going about the business.
Other examples, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. There are faithful Catholics who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. We had a wonderful session almost a year ago called Here in Faith that Michael led up.
Yeah, in fact, I was active in ministry in the church for a long time, and that is the main reason I stepped away. No longer being able to say, okay, I'm going to listen to what the church says and kind of have to be part of that. So to step away from that and to say, yes, gay and lesbian Catholics and transgendered Catholics can be a part of this. They should be able to share commitments with one another. They should be able to have sacramental marriages. They should be able to be fully involved in the life of the church without this voice saying that somehow they're disordered or don't fit in. I think it's just standing up and saying that's not possible. And I think one of our attempts is there's a lot of people who are stuck in that bind of hearing the church say one thing and then not knowing what to do in their own life. And I think what we're saying is, you can make peace with some of these issues as you move forward. And there are like-minded people who could come together and help you do that.